So I actually very quickly moved to what probably would have been my ideal salary, even though I didn't start there. And so that was really great as well. But I think the other real goal was getting a really clear vision of what I needed in work and what I valued. And even though I don't think that's a goal I fully realized at the time, but it's been something that's been really useful, both in thinking about my current role, but also when opportunities come my way. I get approached sometimes by recruiters, and I'm able to kind of look at a position and decide, do I think it's worth pursuing or not? And that was not a framework I really had prior to when we started coaching. You were instrumental in shifting how I think about a career as something intentional rather than as a series of best guesses.
Jessica, why did you decide to work with a career coach? What was going on in your career?
Yeah, I had a series of jobs that I started out thinking like, oh, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna be here forever. And I would get a couple, 1 to 2 years in, and to be honest, I'd be pretty miserable. I would not really know what exactly was wrong. But I also knew I wanted to stop doing that. It was not just I wanted to find a new job, but I really just needed to get out of a cycle. And so I was about a year into a job that had started off fairly well and kind of quickly got to where I just couldn't envision staying there much longer. And that's when I connected with Erin. And what I learned was, really I was doing stuff that wasn't aligned with my values. And that was partly because I didn't really know what they were or hadn't clarified that and how that connects to my career. So that was really valuable and has helped me get out of that cycle.
So you realized you were kind of in the wrong jobs, or the jobs that weren't necessarily tapping into to your potential, and that's why you were getting bored, and so then you were leaving.
Yes, that's exactly what was happening.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't you, it was them. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think, one of the things I think back to the job I was in at the time is when I got the job, part of what I was told was like, we need your expertise. And I got there and it was like, you don't seem to be using it though. And that was really kind of a frustration. And so I was really glad to start thinking differently about how I go about finding jobs. For one thing, I was really just looking for where can I go next? I don't think there was a lot of intentionality how I was thinking about things. I was just always so eager to get on to the next thing. So I kept finding myself in the same position, really and truly. And also, more frustratingly, I would be looking and I'd just be applying and not hearing back or having very unsuccessful interviews. And that would make it even more frustrating because I felt such urgency to moving on and getting out, and that wasn't happening. And it was a really kind of vicious cycle of either I'm getting out and I'm moving into the same thing, or I feel stuck and I don't know what to do, and I'm trying and trying and trying and I can't. And I think it results in not really having a lot of forward momentum. I think if anyone kind of looked at before and after coaching, there was a long period of time where I had the same title and wasn't really progressing. And it was because I kind of got into that habit. So my primary goal was to change positions, but I wanted to do it in a way that I felt confident I was not going to just cycle through the same thing in a year. I think it was stopping the cycle of landing jobs and then not feeling fulfilled was really the goal. I was ready to move into something a little bit more senior. And so I was able to do that. And I got my current position, which is a research director. So I actually very quickly moved to what probably would have been my ideal salary, even though I didn't start there. And so that was really great as well. But I think the other real goal was getting a really clear vision of what I needed in work and what I valued. And even though I don't think that's a goal I fully realized at the time, but it's been something that's been really useful, both in thinking about my current role, but also when opportunities come my way. I get approached sometimes by recruiters, and I'm able to kind of look at a position and decide, do I think it's worth pursuing or not? And that was not a framework I really had prior to when we started coaching. It's, I think about it, I think before I thought a lot of it was luck and best guesses. And now it's much more intentional. Things I would have applied for, like if I were, I'm not looking now, but if I were, probably now would be a lot more selective in what I apply to rather than, oh, this looks like a title, I should apply to that. There are ways that I'm able to look and say, oh, I don't know that that would give me autonomy and independence, or one of my biggest values. I don't know that that gives me what I'm looking for. Collaboration is really important to me though at the same time. And so can see like, oh, this really isn't something where I would be collaborating as much as I would want. So those are things I'm able to now look at a position and evaluate and make a decision if I want to pursue it or not. I think hiring a coach is probably what I would recommend. And actually, I've had several friends ask questions about like what I would recommend to them if they were in a similar position, who are in similar position. I've recommended coaching. I've actually specifically recommended working with you because I think I really just, you were instrumental in shifting how I think about a career as something intentional rather than as a series of best guesses.